Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm back here grooving to the music. I hope everyone is doing well. Thanks for joining us. My name is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage. I hope you find our show informative as we bring value and compassion to you, our listening audience, as we explore the sounds of the diaspora through conversation and music from one artist to the next. Please know that all episodes are recorded. Therefore, you can listen back to each episode at your leisure over and over again, and you're welcome to share with your friends. I'm really excited tonight to have this wonderful guest on the show. This is a gentleman that I've known for many, many, many years. He's actually one of my heroes. And I first met him when I came to New York in the early 90s. And he's been a true inspiration and again, one of my heroes and one of my mentors. He's originally from New Orleans, and he is a master on the drums. He's very masterful, and he's in high demand by so many wonderful artists. I'm gonna let him tell you about all of the wonderful folks that he's played with over the years. But he's a well sought after drummer, and he's a composer, an arranger, and a mentor to so many upcoming musicians. Please join me as I welcome my dear friend to Sound of the Diaspora, Mr. Herlin Riley.
Hey, brother Dion. So nice to be here, and thank you so much for having me to be a part of this wonderful show. Man, I don't know if I can live up to all those accolades you put on me just now, but anyway, brother, I appreciate you, man, and thank you so much for you know for asking me to be on the show, man. We had an encounter a couple of months ago in New York City,
Yes,
and
sir.
you were playing with John Faddis for his 70th birthday, and
Yeah.
we got a chance to break, to share a little bit and to have a drink or two at the bar with each other, man. You talked to me about this show, man, asked me to be on it, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for calling me for summoning me out.
You're more than welcome, man. You're more than welcome, man. And thank you for agreeing to do this. Herlin, you've played with everyone, man. You are one of the premier jazz drummers out here of the 20th, 21st century, rather. I met you in the 20th century, but the 21st century, and you've played with everyone, man. You're from New Orleans, and we all know the home of jazz is New Orleans, and
Yeah.
you come from a musical family, the
Yes, sir.
Lasky family, right? So,
That's
so tell us
right.
about your upbringing.
Well, my upbringing, man, I was very, very fortunate. I feel very fortunate that I had family members who were musicians, and so as a result, my uncles, the Lasty brothers, it was Melvin Lasty played the trumpet, it was David Lasty who played the saxophone, Walter Lasty, we called him Poppy, he played the drums, and my mother also played piano and she played gospel music in the church. And
Okay.
so they were all musicians, and also my grandfather played the drums. He was in Waves Home with Louis Armstrong in 1913.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, so he kind of showed me how to play the early kind of ragtime style of playing the drums and that kind of thing, man. So he would actually beat out rhythms for me with butter knives on the kitchen table, and it was a game for us, because he beat out these rhythms and he challenged me to do it. And so little did I know, man, it was just a game. It was just having fun for me. And so that got me involved with the early style of playing, like ragtime music. And then but as I grew and got older, well, before that, around the same time, actually, my uncles were having before that, my uncles had a combo, and they were
Mhm.
rehearsing my grandmother's house. And so they would actually, and I was raised by my grandparents, basically, primarily. So they would
Okay.
actually roll my crib into the room where my uncles were rehearsing. And so I got to hear the music firsthand. I got the man, they were playing Moanin' and Sister Sadie and Satin Doll and tunes
Wow.
like that. So I
All the
got
classics.
all the classic, man. I got to hear that stuff as a toddler. And
Mhm.
so I was baptized in the music at a very, very early age. And so coming from New Orleans, I felt very, very privileged. I am very, very privileged that I've had that in my background, and that I had people to nurture me and give me the confidence that I could also be a musician.
That's really, really amazing to know that, from a child in the crib that you were exposed to the music on that level. Not too many people can be that
Yeah,
fortunate.
that's very true. I've had a lot of good fortune like that in my life, and also being in New Orleans, that also has helped me because I got to meet a lot of the people who were around, who were playing the music. Um, the great Danny Barker, he
Mhm.
played with he left New Orleans in 1930, went to New York and played with Dizzy Gillespie and Cap Calloway and Billy Eckstine and so many of the greats of that era. I got to have him as a mentor when I was about 12 years old. So
Wow.
I knew Fats Domino. Fats Domino was in the neighborhood, man, in my same neighborhood. My uncle played with him, and so it was like just another brother around who I mean I didn't really have an idea of the magnitude of who I was in the company of. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of people like that. My uncle Jesse Hill wrote "Oop Poop Do." He was, I mean, I was just being in New Orleans. I got a chance to be around a lot of the great musicians who were making their mark on the world and on the on a musical scene.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm listening to you, and what I'm enjoying is that so many folks around the world, our listening audience, don't really know the magnitude of how much music is appreciated in New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans many times, and I was even blown away. And I'm from the Virgin Islands, and I grew up in a musical environment. And you guys taking it to a whole nother level as far as appreciating the music and the musicians. I mean, I love the respect the musicians get in New Orleans and coming from New Orleans. It's really on a different level. And talk about that because that's part of the diaspora. As a people, we travel, the whole concept of moving from Africa to the Caribbean, ended up in New Orleans, the evolution of jazz. I teach jazz history, so for me this is a lesson as well. talk
Well,
about talk about the musicianship and that fraternal bond that you guys have, because this is really something beautiful.
one thing I want to say on that same note is that New Orleans was the only place in North America where during the time of slavery that the slaves were allowed to have drums, that black people were allowed to have drums, and that was in Congo Square. Congo Square was a place where the slaves on Sundays they had a chance to congregate and to come together, and they were playing drums. They had a lot of trade going on. They were trading. They would do like sometimes they have wood carvings, or they'd make kind of make chairs or make different kind of furnitures. Whatever they were doing, they were trading. But the most important thing was that the drums were still there, and so as a result, um, there's a groove and there's a feeling for rhythm that we still have here in New Orleans. That's unlike any other place in the world. Um,
Definitely.
um, we have something we call the second line, and the second line is a groove. It's a groove that we play. It's also a dance, and through the music, we celebrate a lot of things. We celebrate life. We have a celebration for death in the music. Um, we play music for in social and pleasure clubs, for picnics, for dances, for whatever was going on. There's always music in church services. There's always music going on, and so just today we buried a drummer from New Orleans. His name was Russell Baptiste. We
Okay.
buried a drummer today. He played with the Meters. He played with Leo Nocentelli. He played with a lot of different people, and we buried him today. He passed away at 57 years old. And today
Wow.
there was a processional that followed his funeral, whereby the guys came on the street and they picked up the bass horn and the bass drums and the trumpets and saxophone, trombones, all this stuff. People playing on cowbells, people playing beating tambourines, playing on just a bottle pipe, a bottle, a glass bottle, anything that made a sound. People joining the procession and played going down the street with his body in the hearse. And so, I feel very fortunate coming from a culture like that, because the music is so celebrated. This guy who I'm talking about, he was the first cousin to John Baptiste.
Okay.
John Baptiste, and John Baptiste happened to be at the funeral today.
Okay.
So, and that's the kind of community that we have, man, and everybody came together, blacks, whites. We had some Asian people in the procession, people from Latin America. Everybody just came together as a melting pot in celebration of this man who just passed away. So that's the kind of thing that goes on here in New Orleans. And as you said, man, the musicians, we are unspoken fraternity. We are a fraternity, because when we come together, it doesn't matter if we can speak the same language verbally. We do speak a language together, musically speaking. And
Definitely.
and that's what goes on here in New Orleans, man. That's it's very, very, very powerful, and I feel very proud to be a part of this culture here.
Well, it definitely you definitely wear that, and it shows. You talk about the second line, and you guys also have a thing called the Big Four.
That's right. That's
The Big
right.
Four, one is important, but that Big Four
Big
is
four.
another thing, and you
Yeah.
can always tell drummers from New Orleans because you hear that Big Four in their playing, and it's a beautiful thing. It's not something you can really explain. You got to hear it, and you got to be able to feel it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Here in New Orleans, man, we play music, from the bottom up. It's kind of like almost like reggae music. Reggae is played from the bottom up. You don't hear
Correct.
a lot of tops, a lot of the cymbals and things. You hear cymbals when you play bebop and that kind of thing, but
Mm.
here in New Orleans, the music is built from the bottom up, from the bass drum up.
Hmm.
And that being said, all music starts with rhythm. All
Correct.
music starts with rhythm. And when the rhythm is strong, the music is strong, And so that being said, the music being built from the bottom up, there's always a pulse that, like a heartbeat that you constantly feel every time when you play. And you're absolutely right. The bass drum is a signature of most New Orleans drummers. We have an incorporation of the bass drum that's unlike any place else in the world, and that's because of the whole second line thing that we have going on with the processional. When there's a second line on the street, you can hear maybe 3 or 4 blocks away. You hear the bass drum. You know,
Resonated.
you hear the sound before you hear a trumpet, before you hear anything. You hear the sound of the bass drum. It's like almost like an elephant call, because the elephant can make a sound in their with their voices that's so low that you can't really distinguish, but other elephants definitely hear it. And you
Yeah.
know, so it's almost like that. So so when we hear the bass drum, the bass drum is such a powerful thing. It's played from the bottom up, and the music is played from the bottom up. And when you was talking about the big four, and I'll just give you a little explanation on the big four. The big four is an accent on the fourth beat of every other measure, and it was kind of came out of the march, the early ragtime and marches, because John Philip Sousa, a lot of times in New Orleans they played the John Philip Sousa's marches, and they were
Correct.
very straight. But the musicians in New Orleans, what they did, they started to put an accent on the second four. So you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, one,
Right.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just that little bit of syncopation, that little bit of accent, kind of really would revolutionize the whole march thing. The march was revolutionized because of that big four. And then as it evolved and got deeper, then you hear more accents in other places. But the big four is such a prominent part of the groove that's That's why we call it the Big Four, because it's a prominent part of the groove, and it makes you want to dance. Doom, 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 boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. You know, it makes you want to dance. So, and that's where it comes from.
Well, thanks for explaining that, because I know our listening audience was curious to find out what the Big Four is, and that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's really and it's connected to a dance, and a lot of folks don't realize that jazz music, as we know today, back in the day, was the popular music. As you mentioned, John Philip Sousa, jazz came out of the marching band,
Yeah.
out of the strict John Philip Sousa Pump and Circumstance, came out of that vibe, and those instrumentalists would play at dances and play at parties, and that evolved into a more lyrical and improvisational platform. So that was a creation of improvisation and all of it. But what the musicians had was a snare drum, a bass drum, and a cymbal, and that was the basis of the rhythms to propel that music. So that's great, man. Thanks for explaining that to our listening
Yes, sir.
audience. Man. And that's what you have. You have that Big Four. And everything you do, man, is obvious in your sound, man. So let me ask you this: is it okay that we can share one of your songs with our listening audience?
Oh, please do. I'd be honored that you share one of my songs. Please do.
Okay, you was talking about Congo Square earlier. You have a composition called Connection to Congo?
Yes, sir. Connection to
Okay, let's
Square.
listen to that.
All right.
as we talk about music from the diaspora, that sounds like the diaspora. That sounds like Congo Square right there. Can you tell?
uh,
Can you share with us your thoughts behind composing that song?
well, actually, I just wanted to. I just put this little motif together.
Hmm.
So I just put that little motif together, and once I did that, I wanted to just put some strong rhythms behind it, and I wanted to have a little release. So I just used the rhythm changes bridge where you go,
Bridge, yeah, I
yeah.
heard
I just
that.
used the rhythm changes, and if you notice, it's not really counted out. Um, it's not in any kind of sequence. I gave a signal and we go to the bridge,
Mm.
and then we went to the bridge, and then after the bridge we went to the next solo and that kind of thing. So I wanted it to be free. I didn't want it to be symmetrical, but I just wanted to have a little bridge in there as a release. And so and I was thinking about Congo Square, and I said, well, here it is.
Congo Square
And
rhythm changes. It
and
works.
I had the great Pedrito Martinez to play
Well,
percussion
that's
up there.
Pedrito and Congas.
Yeah, Pedrito on congas.
Who are the home players and the rest of them?
It's Bruce Harris on the trumpet.
Okay,
Godwin Louis is playing
okay.
alto saxophone, and Russell Hall is playing the bass.
All right, you got all the New York cats and
Yeah,
Jamaican brother on
All New
bass.
Yorkers. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's a great band. I know all those guys.
Yeah,
That's a great band. That's a beautiful song. I mean, when I heard it, I said, "Yeah, this is definitely the diaspora."
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yeah.
know, a lot of folks don't know how versatile drummers are. Here you are composing and leading a band, and that's one of the things that I admire about you because you're not just a sideman. Most of the times, drummers are just kind of pitching towards a sideman, and you see them playing for all of these artists, but rarely do you see them putting out their own projects or leading their own band or even writing their own music. And I applaud you for that because in following the footsteps of like the Art Blakey and the Max Roach and all of those guys, drummers are some really well versed musicians, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, well, I feel very, very fortunate that I've also had a little training in playing the trumpet, so which helped me to have a sense of melody and harmony and form and that kind of thing. So and I never really set out to become a band leader or to do anything like that or to become a composer or anything. The music just kind of took me in that direction, and as I got older, I wanted to become still be relevant. As you get older in this business, there's always some young guys coming up who are playing and who playing with
Mhm,
fire and so much
mhm.
fire and energy and intensity. And so trying to find a way to remain relevant, I thought that I would just kind of step out and kind of use Art Blakey as a model to start a band and hire some young people to play with me, and so fortunately it worked out in that way that I was able to hire these great musicians to play with me, and you didn't hear it on that particular cut, but also Emmett Corn is playing piano on that
Okay.
particular session with me, so and he's going on to do some wonderful things. I just played in California. But that was my intent to remain relevant and to try to reinvent myself. That's what happens as you get older. You want to keep reinventing yourself. You don't ever want to become stale. You don't want to become stagnant.
Definitely,
You want to keep on pushing the envelope forward, and that was
definitely,
that was the intent behind that.
definitely. Well, you've had a lot of training from so many masters, and it's great that you have put this wonderful collection of musicians together and created a project to present your sound as well. It's similar to what I've done with the 21st Century Band. I mean, I think it's important for drummers to have their voice and present their sound once they get to that level because
Yes.
we have ideas when we're young, but it's also it's important to get that training to go through that apprenticeship and be able to have that leadership skills as well to make sure that you're not just being out there to be out there. You're out there with a purpose, and your purpose. All of the names you mentioned, the guys that I know you've mentored, they've all come through in some way or form through the Lincoln Center Orchestra or Juilliard or hanging at the late sessions at
Yeah.
Disley's.
Yeah.
And I know you've been up in there honing the skills with a lot of them. So that's great, man. And not only are you a leader, you have this other group with other musicians, other drummers from New Orleans, the New Orleans Groove Masters. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a bit about that?
Well, yeah, there's two other drummers, Shannon Powell and also Jason Marcellus. So
Okay.
Shannon Powell and I, we kind of during the time of the pandemic, we came up with this thing, man. We were playing. I'm playing a conch shell, and Shannon is playing the tambourine, and we just out in front of his house. Right. He lives right across from Congo Square, and I was just
Okay.
out in front of his house, man. We just beating on the tambourine. He's playing the tambourine. I'm playing his conch shell, and then we started chanting. We just came up with a chant. We just started kind of messing around. We were kind of having fun for ourselves. And his daughter pulled out a cell phone, and she started recording us. And then she posted it. And when we were doing this thing, we said it was during Corona. So the line was, "Don't let Corona get up on you, because he's a bad boy and he might not want to get off you." So he's playing on the tambourine. I'm do 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 do. That's on the conch shell. I'm blowing the conch shell. So we kind of did that, and then lo and behold, it was posted, and John Baptiste saw it. And during that time, John Baptiste was doing the Stephen Colbert Show.
Okay.
And so he mentioned it. He mentioned it on the Colbert Show that he said, like my friend Herlin Riley and Shannon Powell said, "Don't let Corona get up on you." And so we said, man, we got to record this song. So Jason, we had been working with Jason, also doing some stuff with Jason, and so we recorded that particular piece, and we were playing all the instruments on it, other than the guitar. So I'm playing. I put the bass line together on the with the keyboard. Shannon's playing the trap drums. We're both playing tambourines. Jason Marcellus is playing the vibes. He's playing some vibes on. He's playing some percussion stuff. So we kind of put the whole track together, just the three of us. And we've done some concerts together in France and around New Orleans, and we wanted to just make a statement as three New Orleans drummers who are coming together in harmony, coming together without any animosity, coming together in brotherhood, in the spirit of the music. So that's what New Orleans Groove Masters is all about.
That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful, man. And I as a fellow drummer, I can appreciate that because I think drummers we just have a lot of love for each other.
Yeah.
It's just something that I experienced that in New York from the time I got there. So many drummers just going way back to Art Blakey. I remember him sitting me down and talking to me and telling me, "Hey, you got to do this. Don't do that. Stay away from that." And drummers have another vibe with each other. So I appreciate that. That's a beautiful story.
I agree, man. I agree. And Elvin Jones did the same thing for me, man. He gave me a lesson, and one thing about it, after Elvin gave me a lesson in at Ronnie Scott's in London, 20 years later, he heard me playing with Winston, and I was playing a second line groove. He came back to me, "Herlin, how do you do that second line stuff, man? I want to learn how to do that, man." So that was a lesson in humility. Here's the great Elvin Jones
Elvin
coming to
Jones.
me.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the things I try to tell my younger musicians, man. Have confidence, but also balance your confidence with humility, because you don't want to have too much confidence. It becomes ego. Too much
Yeah.
humility becomes like feeling inadequate. So that humility thing kicks in and says, man, you always recognize somebody else who has some talent, who has something to say, and you can recognize and appreciate that. So that's what humility does.
Yeah.
Confidence says, "I got it all. Can't nobody teach me
Yeah.
anything."
And for Elvin to ask you to show him that's we all got an Elvis story, man. I went to the Blue Note one time for the Blue Note anniversary, and Elvin Jones was playing, and Ralph Peterson was covering for Elvin. This is later on.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, I ended up sitting in, and Elvin came down the stairs from the dressing room. Who is on my drums? Who the hell is on my drums? Ralph. He's, you know how Elvin is.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
stood in the middle of the Blue Note, put his hands on his hip, and he's like, who the hell is on my drums? And he walked around, come up on stage, and I'm playing. Like, you're talking about having confidence. I'm playing, and everybody on the bandstand starts walking off because Elvin walked up on stage while I'm playing.
Yeah.
Except the bass player and the piano player, and he stood over me. We finished the song, and I'm like, okay, this is it now. I guess I'm done.
Yeah.
And we finished the song, and Elvin was like, stand up. And I stood up, and he gave me a hug and said, man,
oh yeah, big bear hug.
You know, how he hugs you.
Big bear hug, man.
And he looked around. He said, "Man, he can swing." So, bro, I was so scared. I was like, this close, man. Elvin, woo! And ever since then, we were cool.
Yeah,
I would see him on festivals. He would call me in the dressing room. He would hug me. He was like, "What are you drinking? What are you eating?" We were so cool after talking about being confident but humble.
Yeah.
I was playing anyway. But yeah, I think we all got an Elvin Jones story.
Oh yeah, brother. Yes, sir.
But that's great, man. That's great. So I have a couple other questions for you, but I want to play another one of your songs.
Go ahead,
Watch What You're Doing. How's that?
As a beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, you have another one in mind?
No, Watch What You're Doing is cool.
Okay. We're gonna listen to Watch What You're Doing.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was definitely the big four.
That's right. That was listening to the Big Four. You got it right.
That was definitely the big four, man. So
Yes, sir.
tell our audience about that song.
Well, that song, I just kind of wrote the melody, and as I put it together, I was trying to figure out a name for it. And as I was growing up, the older people always told me, they said, "Man, you got to watch what you're doing. You got to watch what you're doing. Be careful. Don't just be out there doing anything. Watch what you're doing. Pay attention."
Uh,
And so when I wrote the melody, sometimes the melodies just come to you, and so that was it came to me that way. And the opening part of it, when I go, that pays homage to another great drummer. His name was Smokey Johnson, and Smokey
okay.
Johnson wrote a tune called "It Ain't My Fault." And that was his signature tune. His signature tune that he composed the tune. "It Ain't My Fault," and that was the groove that he set the whole his tune up with. "It Ain't My Fault." So I'm paying homage also to Smokey Johnson when when I did that tune.
That's beautiful. That's the thing about New Orleans. You guys have so much tradition and so much traditional bearers that you can draw from all of those things. I remember having a conversation with Donald Harrison, and he talked about playing with Art Blakey, and Art Blakey had that traditional setup, brap brap, brap brap, brrrr, brap brap.
Yeah,
And we know it for da 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 for television, but that's like a drum roll off that you do in the military band. But Art kind of owned it. That was like his signature roll off. So you're talking about paying homage to Smokey Johnson. That sounds like his signature roll off as well. Yes. So I'm not sure. I think we may have lost Mr. Riley. All right. So I think we got disconnected with Mr. Riley. But what I would like to do, since he's not here, he sent us some other songs and some great music. And I would like to continue playing another one of his songs. And this one is called Shake Off the Dust. Shake Off the Dust by Herlin Riley.
Dion,
Yes, sir.
man, technology is great when it works, but when it goes awry, it's disaster. Man,
It's
you know,
all good. It's all good.
yeah.
It's all good. We segued into "Shake Off the Dust,"
Well, I
and
say,
that's another one of your gems. Beautiful song.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, brother. I
So
say
welcome back.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully we don't have any more hiccups, man. But yeah, that was shake off the dust, and that was one of those songs, man, where you have a hard day's work, and you've been sitting in traffic or whatever trying to get home, and things are not going so well at work. Somebody's gotten on your last nerve, and you've gotten on somebody else's last nerve, and things are not so pleasant. When you get home, you sit back in your easy chair, you get yourself your favorite beverage, whatever you like to relax yourself with, or to whatever you do to relax yourself, you do that, and you shake off the dust of the day and prepare yourself for tomorrow. And don't trip over what's behind you.
I definitely hear that. And that song puts you in that mood. It's nice and relaxed and easy, but it also have those unique, diasporic elements because you can hear the different rhythms. There's you had the kind of a bossa nova feel, but you had I think you were using the brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, subtleties like that. So there's different elements. It's not your normal smooth, laid back. It's a different vibe, but it does the job. It puts
Thank
you
you,
in a
brother.
relaxing mood.
Appreciate it. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
So that's the softer side of hurling, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good, man. That's beautiful, to be that versatile. You've performed with a number of wonderful and amazing musicians. And kind of tell us a bit about the folks that you've performed with because everybody knows you with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. I know you, Ahmad Jamal and
Yeah.
Diane Reeves, to name a few. But tell our folks some of the other wonderful and amazing artists that you've worked with. I think we just lost him again. Look at that technology. Like he was just talking about technology. So Herlin Riley has worked with a number of amazing artists, just to name a few: Dee Dee Bridgewater, Dr. Lonnie Lister Smith, McCoy Tyner, Dr. John, Rufus Reed, Ellis Marcellus, Terrence Blanchard, Nicholas Payton, and of course Wynton Marcellus, Branford Marcellus. But I know Herlin for many years, and he worked, I would probably say, 20 years with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. And that's my main connection with him, is seeing him performing with the orchestra, either in New York City at Jazz at Lincoln Center or on the road. There was one time we was playing in the Caribbean, and I had the good fortune of playing on his drums. The first time I played on his drums, I think it was been like the first time we met, and he allowed me to play on his drum set. I think we were in Barbados performing, and I was able to play on his drum kit, and he was very, very supportive and allowed me to play on his drum set. So I always been grateful for him for that opportunity, and thankful as well. He has a couple of the songs here, and I think we have one more song called Borders Without Lines. Let's check out Borders Without Lines. There you have it. Borders Without Lines by Herlin Riley, our featured guest tonight. We've been having a bit of technical difficulties. Herlin's been on and off, but we're getting ready to wrap up this show. It's been an honor and a pleasure having Mr. Riley here with us tonight. He's been so informative. He shared a lot of his background, upbringing, and some inspiration for upcoming drummers and musicians as well. And we have a lot of love and respect for him. This has been an amazing show, and we are so thankful that he was able to join us tonight, despite the technical difficulties. We look forward to having him back, and we would really, really appreciate any positive feedback from you guys on his music. As you can tell, he's amazing. One of my favorites. Thank you on behalf of our team here at Sounds of the Diaspora, artist to artist conversation with Dion Parson. Well, there he is. He's back.
my iPad keeps dying on me. I'm so sorry. I apologize to you and to the audience, but we'll have to do it again, man, so that we can have an uninterrupted time together.
I was just saying the same thing. I was telling our audience to share your comments because we definitely would love to have you back. We just listened to Borders Without Lines, and as you mentioned, that was a really nice drum solo up in there.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So we're going to wrap this up, and we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. This was an amazing conversation with you, and we really appreciate all the information you shared with us, and we would love to have you back again.
Well, I'd love to come back. And before I leave, I just want to show you this. This is a book called The Drums. What is it called? The Evolution of the Drum, New Orleans Drumming Beat. And I did the forward to this book.
Okay.
I wrote the forward to this book, and it talks about all of the drummers that came out of New Orleans, from Baby Dodds up until Smokey Johnson and James Black, and a lot of drummers. It talks about a lot of drummers. Ed Blackwell, and so many drummers. And
Earl Palmer's in there?
Earl Palmer's in there.
Okay.
Earl Palmer. He is right here. This is Earl Palmer.
Okay.
That's Baby Dodds.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Blackwell.
Ed Blackwell.
And Zigaboo Mortalise, who
Zigaboo, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's a lot of drummers, and I did the forward to the book. So you can check it out. Drumsville.
Vernell Fournier.
Vernell Fournier is in there as well.
Nice. Yeah. I
all
remember seeing a video with you with Ahmad, man, and you were nailing that Poinciana groove.
Yes,
is it right hand or left hand on the hi-hat?
It goes both ways. Both ways.
Because you do it with the left hand on the hi-hat.
Yeah, I do it with the left hand. I sometimes do it the right hand too. So it can go both ways. It's just it's up 8-1 and 2 and so it's on the upbeat.
Right.
You hit the bell.
Right. That's a classic. I think every drummer should learn that beat, man. That's a classic.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it, but it came from the second line.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it. And the Big Four's in there.
Yeah, the Big Four's in there as well.
The Big Four's in there. Yeah. I played that a lot when I was working with Monty Alexander, and we would play remnants of that groove on some of the songs. So
yes,
it's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure, Herlin. Thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing all this wonderful information. We will catch up again, because I'll find you.
Oh yeah, bro. I got some more to say, man. So call me, holler back at me, man. I'll be glad to come on the show again and share a little information and experiences I've had over the years.
Okay.
All right.
We will definitely make that happen. Thank you again. And we really enjoyed having Herlin Riley with us tonight. And I just want to share with you guys before we leave. Thank you for joining us tonight. And if you like the show, share with your friends. Each episode is recorded. You can listen back to us anytime. And next week, we will have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing guest that I'm very excited about. One of my Caribbean homeboys. His name is Etienne Charles, and he's doing some great things out here. And he came through New York City. He's originally from Trinidad, came to New York City, and he's doing some wonderful things. So We look forward to you all joining us again next week, October 17th at 7 p.m. Sounds of the Diaspora, artist to artist conversation with Dion Parson, where our guest that evening will be the one and only Mr. Etienne Charles. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.